Hey guys, so in this video today, we're going to go over the aggregate demand and supply diagram for the neoclassical model of macroeconomics. Know this model, and you've got nothing to fear when it comes to evaluations. So first thing we got to get clear is the axes. Unlike the demand and supply diagram we did in micro, which may look similar, here on the y-axis we have price level, the average level of prices in the economy, and we have real GDP on the x-axis. Also, we don't need a title unless you're drawing several different aggregate demand, aggregate supply diagrams of different countries, in which case you would need to identify which country you're talking about. Remember to always label your axes. So as you can see, there's a negative relationship between the price level and real output. 4 factors result in this. To be honest, I have yet to see an IB exam question that exclusively asks why AD slopes downwards, but it is important to understand the diagram, and any of these concepts may come in handy on the exam. For example, there was a question about how interest rates are determined in an economy, and I talked about the interest rate effect. A movement along the aggregate demand curve occurs when there is a change in the price level. 1. Real income effect. This effect operates under the assumption that wages are held constant. When the price level rises, things will get more expensive, which causes consumption to go down, causing the quantity of aggregate demand to go down and vice versa. 2. Real balance effect. This one happens because people will try to balance their consumption and saving. When the price level goes down, people can buy more things with their money. Thus, they will feel richer and increase consumption. This causes the quantity of aggregate demand to go up. 3. Net export effect. When the price level goes down, it becomes cheaper to export. Thus, imports will increase, exports will go up, and the quantity of aggregate demand will go up. 4. The interest rate effect. When the price levels go up, the interest rate will also increase. This will result in an increase in consumption and investment, thus an increase in the quantity of aggregate demand. Now, as we said before, a shift in aggregate demand is the result of a change in one of the aggregate demand components. There are 4 major things that will cause a shift in aggregate demand, but warning, there are a lot of subcategories under one of them. 1. Expectation. This is perhaps the most powerful force that changes aggregate demand. There are a lot of different types of expectations under this category, so get ready. A. Inflationary expectations. If people expect the price level to increase in the future, they will try to spend their money now. Thus, consumption will go up and aggregate demand will shift outwards. Vice versa is also true. B. Wealth and income expectations. If I think that I'm rich, or I think that I'll make a lot of money in the future, then of course I will choose to spend more. Thus, consumption will go up and savings will go down, causing aggregate demand to shift outwards, and vice versa. If I think I will go broke, I will consume less and aggregate demand will decrease. C. Profit and revenue expectations. This is basically the same thing as the wealth and income expectations, but instead of individuals, we're referring to firms. D. Policy expectations. If people expect taxes to increase in the future, people will choose to spend now to avoid higher taxes in the future. This will cause an increase in consumption and investment, which will shift the aggregate demand outwards, and of course, vice versa. E. Overall expectations. This refers to the people's general confidence in the economic situation. Say if we're expecting a recession, people will save and aggregate demand will decrease. If we're super confident in the future, we will consume now. 2. International factors. This is something you'll get more into in the International Trade Unit. But as for now, you need to know that there are 3 components here that will influence aggregate demand. A. Exchange rates. When the exchange rate decreases, the value of the currency will decrease, thus resulting in an increase in exports and decrease in imports. This means that aggregate demand will increase. B. Trading partner's income. This one is straightforward enough. If your trading partner becomes rich, he will buy more from your country. Your exports and aggregate demand will increase. Vice versa, if your trading partner becomes dirt poor, less exports will be made and your aggregate demand will decrease. C. Relative prices. This one is dependent on your trading partner's price level. If there's an increase in your trading partner's price level, it becomes cheaper for them to import goods from your country. Thus, your exports will increase and imports will decrease. The other 2 factors that will shift aggregate demand are the demand-side policies, fiscal and monetary. We will be covering that in detail next video. For now, remember expansionary will result in an increase in aggregate demand, and contractionary will result in a decrease in aggregate demand. Now that we've got aggregate demand covered, it's time to move on to aggregate supply. Aggregate supply is the total planned production of goods and services in an economy. Aggregate supply is a bit more complicated than aggregate demand, mainly because in macro there are 2 aggregate supply curves. long-run aggregate supply, which is the vertical line graphically, and short-run aggregate supply, which is the upward sloping line. The main difference between short-run aggregate supply and long-run aggregate supply is the adjustment of factor prices, the costs of the factor of production, such as wages. For the short-run curve, factor prices do not adjust to the final prices, while they do in the long-run curve. Think of it this way: in the short run, you still have some spare capacity because the factor market hasn't come into equilibrium yet. This means output can still go up. Even though resources will become progressively more expensive, output is still capable of going up. This is also why it has an upward slope. But in the long run, you have reached your productive capacity and achieved full employment. So it's a straight line as no more output can be reached. This is also why YFE, full employment, is at the long run aggregate supply. Because long-run aggregate supply is the maximum capacity of the economy, the output level will always return to YFE. Why? Well, say that real output is greater than full employment, like in this graph. That means the unemployment rate is smaller than the natural rate of unemployment, thus resulting in a shortage of labor. This will drive the wages up, causing a shift inwards of short-run aggregate supply, and output will fall back to full employment. The same is true for when real output is less than full employment. Shifts in short-run aggregate supply are caused by a change in factor prices. The one you'll see most is probably a change in wages. As the average wage rate goes up, the production costs will also increase, causing short-run aggregate supply to shift inwards. If wages go down, short-run aggregate supply will shift outwards. It's important to keep in mind that unions play a big role in this, as they negotiate the wages and keep the wage rate up. Second of all, if the price of raw materials goes up, short-run aggregate supply will decrease. If it goes down, short-run aggregate supply will increase. This raw material must be widely used in the economy because we are looking at this on a macro scale. Typically, when we're talking about this, we are referring to oil. Third, the price of imported raw materials will also change the short-run aggregate supply. If the value of our currency goes up, the price of import will decrease, causing imported materials to be cheaper and the short-run aggregate supply to go up. Vice versa is also true. And finally, we've got taxation subsidies. Like in micro, a subsidy will increase with short-run aggregate supply, and taxation will decrease it. Now on to long-run aggregate supply. You can think of long-run aggregate supply like the PPF curve, because it represents maximum productive capacity. It only shifts outwards when there's an increase in the quantity or quality of the factors of production. So this could include technological advances, quantity of capital, research and development, more population, and thus more labor, education, and an increase in infrastructure, etc. Remember, when the long-run aggregate supply shifts outwards, aggregate demand and short-run aggregate supply will shift with it, because it's an increase in the entire productive capacity.